start button. Boom. Okay. 5, 4, 3, 2.
Hello and welcome. And sorry we're late. We were having difficulties with the mic. Apparently the neckline of the blouse that I'm wearing is not suitable for mics. It's a vintage top, and perhaps it was made before these kinds of mics were created. So thank you for joining us. And I'm reading again from the 7th book. It's called Rewire. And the pieces that I read last night were about Sue Reynolds, which, the book is basically about Sue, the pie lady, and her falling in love with Ted. But tonight I wanted to read 2 different breakfast scenes. And there's, in my stories, in my books, there's always like a couple of different storylines, right? So in book 7, Rewire, Sue's the main story, and then there's, other stories that are happening, Martha, Janine, and Desmond, and Fiona, and Francis, right? So I wanted to read 2 different breakfast scenes, and this is the first one. It's got to do with Desmond and Martha, Janine, and we've got some new characters making an appearance. Desmond was in the kitchen examining a new catalog and sipping coffee. Beside him was an empty plate with toast crumbs. Martha Janine kissed him after getting herself a cup of coffee. She looked at her paramour, who was engrossed in his work. He had post-it notes marking several pages of hairdos that interested him. A small black velvet box resting on her plate caught Martha Janine's eye. Desmond continued perusing his trade magazines, trying with all his might to not pay her any attention. His heart stopped for a moment when she opened the box. She gasped loudly. The white gold ring contained a small round blue topaz with 3 diamonds in graduating sizes. "Oh," she sighed, holding the box to her heart. She tugged at his sleeve, holding out the ring to him. "Yes." All pretext of disinterest gone, he gave her his full attention. His mouth fell open. "Really?" Her mouth in a beautiful smile, she offered him the ring box. "Put it on my finger, or are you supposed to propose first?" Taking the box from her, he removed the ring, deftly dropping to one knee with all the solemnity he felt. "Will you make me an honorable man and marry me?" She laughed, holding out her left hand. "Don't you mean, will I honor you by marrying you?" He put the ring on her left ring finger, kissing her hand, and replied, "No, I mean, will you make me an honorable man? Seeing that we've got 2 grandkids living with us and another down the street, I need to be made an honorable man and not just your plaything." Throwing back her head, she laughed. "You are too much, Desmond Albuquerque, and yes, I will make you an honorable man." And just at that moment, they heard a voice. "Mom!" Fiona was trudging down the hallway to the kitchen with a fussy child in each arm. She was in yesterday's t-shirt and sweats, looking and feeling like she'd made the wrong decision. "Oh, honey." Martha Janine ran to take one of the twins, who began chirping excitedly to the world. "How's Nana's big girl today?" she cooed to her granddaughter, Kate, who grabbed her nose and tugged it. Desmond took Caleb, kissing the top of his baby head, his sandy color hair the same shade as his father's. "Morning, my prince." Each baby safely settled. I'm having difficulties. Sorry, you guys. I'm going to take a couple of deep breaths and put a Ricola in my mouth. Allergies. Okay. So Desmond took Caleb, kissing the top of his baby head, his sandy color hair the same shade as his father's. "Morning, my prince." Each baby safely settled in their high chair with a graham cracker, Fiona sat down with a mug of coffee. She yawned as she looked at her twins, both of them offering to share their bounty with their mother. Her exhaustion overwhelmed her. She wanted Francis home with her, raising the kids together. Wearily, she whispered, "Thanks for your help. I just talked to Francis. He's headed home today. I'm picking him up late this afternoon. May I ask you to watch the babies for me?" "Well, of course. That's what nanas are for, aren't we? My angel boy and girl," cooed their grandmother. Fiona glanced at her mother's hand as she wiped Caleb's mouth with a towel. Making muffled noises, he was not happy to be cleaned. He had more cracker to consume. All thoughts of fatigue and missing Francis were replaced by the glittering ring on her mother's ring finger. "Mother!" she exclaimed, turning to Desmond, who smiled at her and nodded serenely. "Yes, Valentine's Day," her mother replied. "Isn't this a beautiful ring?" She maneuvered her left hand as the stones glittered under the kitchen lights. Fiona dutifully inspected the ring. To Desmond, she asked, "Valentine's Day?" Desmond looked confused and asked his new fiancée, "Valentine's Day?" Martha Janine nodded. "Well, yes, doesn't that sound perfect? It will just be a small wedding like yours and Francis's." She turned to her grandchildren and giggled. "He wants me to make an honorable man of him because of you two and your cousin Gordy. Isn't that so sweet of him?" Caleb clapped his pudgy baby hands, and Kate banged her tippy cup on the high chair. Joyous baby clatter filled the kitchen with bedlam. Fiona laughed. She got up to make breakfast for the babies. She said, "Okay, Desmond, you've been around here long enough. You know what you're getting yourself into." With great dignity, Desmond rose from the table and bowed to everyone. The children loved him, their legs and arms churning. Closing his catalog and gathering his accoutrements, he said, "Well, Gramps has got to go to the shop." Standing by their high chairs, he kissed each gyrating baby, adding dreamily, "I can't wait to give you your first hairstyles." So that's the first breakfast. Francis is away on a business trip, and he's been gone for about 10 days. And I apologize for my coughing. The sucking on my Ricola is really helping, folks. Okay, so the second breakfast scene is about 24 hours later. Martha Janine is taking care of the babies while Fiona and Francis have some time together when she picks them up. Martha Janine had the babies in the kitchen on their high chairs, cutting up bananas and apples for them to share. She was talking to them loudly, cracking eggs into a bowl, buttering toast, and pouring coffee for Desmond, who was filling the twins' tippy cups with apple juice. Francis and Fiona walked in. Giving his in-laws a quick nod of acknowledgement, Francis then stooped down in front of his children's high chairs, facing them. It was a precious Kodak moment. Just as Francis looked up to greet them, Caleb and Kate threw their tippy cups to the floor, shrieking their delight in seeing him. Plump baby arms raised, hands waving excitedly, chubby legs kicking wildly. They wanted to be held by him. Francis's eyes filled with gratitude that his babies remembered him. Fiona helped Francis with Kate as he picked up Caleb. He held them both in his arms, rocking them as father and baby swayed together. Both children shuddered in contentment, secure in their father's arms. Fiona watched the tableau, brushing away a tear. Francis looked at her, nodding his head towards them. He stopped her, and he stepped nearer and he kissed her. "Thank you," he whispered happily. "Thank you for my children." Martha Janine was sniffling, blowing her nose, cooling down scrambled eggs for the twins. Desmond picked up their tippy cups, washing them, happily refilling them with juice. After a few moments, Frances wisely settled the twins back in their high chairs as her grandmother fed them breakfast. There was more scrambled eggs on the floor than in their bellies. Martha Janine was in heaven, absorbed in her grandchildren, blatantly playing with their food. A contented Francis sat back with his own breakfast, watching his children. This is what he had been missing this past week. The chaos, the noise, the confusion, the whining, the tears of frustration by either child or a parent. The acknowledgement from his kids that they knew him. Looking at Fiona wiping up Kate's face with a warm cotton towel, her brother waiting his turn, Francis felt his heart almost explode. How could he have gotten so lucky? He was so happy. His children were lively and healthy, and his wife was beautiful and smart. "No, no, no!" Kate shook her head as her mother continued to clean her up. Fiona was trying to clean between her chubby fingers where eggs still stuck. Caleb glanced over at his sister. He saw her shaking her dark head and heard her. He mimicked until they were both chanting, "No, no, no!" Martha Janine clapped her hands enthralled. "Oh, they're talking!" A chagrined Fiona then turned her attention to her son. His voice was muffled as his face was clean. When his mother began on his pudgy hands, he continued with her chant, now a sing-song, "No, no, no!" Looking at his wife, Francis grinned. "I don't think they know what that word means yet." Fiona said, "I don't know about that." She rolled her eyes. "Can you take them to the family room while I clean up here?" She began picking up dishes as Desmond left for the shop, and Martha Janine helped clean up the breakfast mess. She shooed her daughter away. "Go be with your family, Fee. I'll clean up." Fiona glanced at her mother, who was putting the lid on the jam jar. "Are you sure?" Impatiently, Martha Janine shooed her off again. "Yes, now go. I can't believe how smart they are. They'll be walking and talking in no time." That's the end for tonight. 2 breakfasts. Those of you who are parents probably know what kinds of things, have been in these sorts of scenes before. It's from the book Rewire. Thanks for joining me. Look below on the page for useful information. If you like this, you can, on YouTube, please click like. And you can find information about how to get in touch with your questions and feedback. I love hearing from you. And also, our factotum, AC, is archiving all of these readings. And he's got a link to the playlist below, as well as the link for tomorrow night's live stream. I will be back tomorrow, Friday night at 11. And I'll tell you a little bit about what we're planning for September. It's still sort of in the talking stage. So I'll see you then, and good night. Thanks for joining us.
Clear.